And understood.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for coming in for our finance committee meeting. We'll call the meeting to order. Is there any declarations of conflict? No? Okay. Can I get approval of the agenda?
I'll move.
Okay. Moved and second. Thank you.
But Mr. Chair, just
Yes.
for the next meeting, I know I keep bringing it up, but the enterprise fleet management, there was a report done. Nancy attended the meeting. So all of us don't have the report. So could I ask to put it on the next meeting?
Yeah. Enterprise.
Yes.
The next meeting. Okay.
Is that all right? That way we can see the report.
Anything for you, Your Worship.
No, I just wanted to pass by the deputy mayor, the chair of the committee. Maya, are you all right with that? Thank you, Maya.
Okay. So we're okay with that. Adoption of the minutes from our last two meetings, October 6th and October 15th, are attached.
Moved.
Move. Perfect. Thanks, Councillor Ramsey. We'll move into 5A tenders. First one is the Fitzroy Street old-fashioned lighting installation.
Yes, so this is a resolution to supply and install 9 old-fashioned lighting standards on Fitzroy Street from Rochford to Terry Fox Drive. Hanson Electric has provided these over the years, so Public Works has no concerns awarding to this vendor, and they also had the lowest price. It was over budget by about $70,000. As such, Public Works would require a budget transfer of $83,000 coming from traffic and pedestrian signals account, the smart intersection upgrades to street lighting, in order to issue the PO to complete this work. Do you have anything to add, Peter?
This is the one that,
I just saw Councillor Vard's hand first, and then we can go to Councillor Ramsey.
So, thanks, Chair. So we budgeted $47,813 for the job for the same amount of lights that we are getting, and we were off that much.
Well,
That's almost triple.
the staff has reviewed the submission and they believe it's not unreasonable just because the current contractor prices have increased and the supply of the lights is, the supply was significantly higher at budgeting time as opposed to now when we're actually going to order them.
Again, Chair, I'm okay with the idea. I like the idea. I'm blown away with the fact that it's 3 times the amount.
so in the shop report, it does say that they did use the quote based upon previous numbers, but unfortunately, they've been much higher this time around.
Previous numbers used what year?
I think last year or the year before we.
Last year we did an installation out in Hillsborough Park.
Wow, that's crazy.
We go through this almost with every expenditure, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but 3
We're gonna
times.
have to take another tack on how to come up with these estimates. Us.
Yeah.
That's probably the biggest. Sorry, that's probably the biggest. John, I know it's a small amount, but like literally like 200 times more of. I don't think I've ever seen a number miss the estimate by that much.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know the same thing, and I'm wondering if when we get these tenders back in, do we reduce the scope of work to get it back within the budget and like do less this year and maybe wait for the price to go down and re-tender the rest of the project? I don't know if that's possible in this case, but maybe reducing the scope because things are expensive, everyone else is expensive.
And I'm okay, Chair, with the work being done. It's just more, again, going back to what Councillor Duffy just said, is that maybe there's a better way to get an estimate. I mean, I find it just hard to believe that last year we were able to do the same amount of work, if you will, for that price. And this year let's be honest, COVID was here last year as well. I just can't. It's hard for me to rationalize the huge jump.
Yeah.
In your own household, for example. Oh, sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna say is, as you say, Councillor Duffy, a lot of times, is it a need or a want? I mean, could this be delayed? I
maybe for one more year to say, and see if the prices do drop. Because, like, I don't think, because we had this offered to us under Public Works, so I think Councilor Duffy and I are both there at that time too, and the mayor. But at the same time, like, $3 is a lot of money, and we approved it basically through Public Works, but when you start reading all the details. Like, is it gonna make a big difference in that section of the city if we delayed it 1 year? I don't know.
I had Councillor Duffy first.
Yeah, all I was gonna say was, in our own household, for example, what do you do? I mean, you're setting money aside to buy a new stove, which may be $900, $1,100, whatever, and you get a quote in there, $16,000.
Yeah.
You say to your partner or whatever, well, yeah, we're getting a stove, I guess we're just gonna pay more for it. No, I think you'd say was, well, let's look around some more, or let's delay it, or let's fix the old one, or let's start eating cold cuts. We don't need a stove.
So, thank you, Chair. I'm okay with it because, again, I know we're in a good finance position. I'm guessing that they're in the budget, Public Works does have that money. I guess my concern is just the fact that it's the percentage increase, and if this was a $1 million project, next year was $3 million. So, again, going back to kind of find a better way of making sure that our estimates are a lot closer for when we're approving things. So I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I just find a better method to.
Yeah.
And also, sorry.
And Councillor Duffy, Councillor Ramsey, we had this same discussion at Public Works about the cost, and we were talking about estimates, and I made reference to New Brunswick that the engineers have to put an engineering estimate in, not based on previous, just try to look at the current situation, and you have to make those adjustments because of the current situation. Don't take last year's price, because last year's price is not going to work this year because the supply chain is frigged up. Shipping containers were at $3,000 per container last year. They're now up to $30,000 container coming into Halifax, Vancouver. It's just everything is being COVID related, and so if it's not the supply chain, it's no labor. If it's not labor, it's because Brazil has been hit 100 times harder of COVID cases. Like, there are so many issues and elements to this argument, but I can tell you, Councillor Rivard, that area is very dark down there, and it's been always asked. Residents who live down there, or anyone who walks in that area, speaks about how dark it is. There are no lights. There's, I think, maybe one light at the corner of Terry Fox and Euston, and everywhere else, that whole strip of Terry Fox Run is dark. So to me, it's a safety concern, and to think that the prices are going to go down next year. Suppliers are saying, look at 2023 or 2024.
Why are we insisting on Hanson to do what? Why don't we get Merritt Electric to put a couple lights up?
They don't do it.
They don't do it?
Not these.
No, I know they don't do it, but they put lights up. They put them up all over town.
Right.
These are historic lights.
I know.
And-
I mean, it's better to have a non-historic light than no light. That's my point.
Yeah.
Correct.
Maritime Electric do it for $7.80 a month service fee. You have to be innovative in these times.
My final statement is that the only saving grace is that they're gonna transfer the money from the traffic business and Public Works to Council Duffy. Like, they weren't gonna be using all that, so that's gonna be transferred.
Correct.
That's another problem.
Yes, exactly, so, you just add on to one and one and all that, but, like, I think the project's great, but at the same time, that's a lot of coin.
Councillor Rivard.
So just want to be clear that what Mayor Brown just alluded to, this has nothing to do with the fact that that's dark and it needs to be done. I agree, okay, safety, I agree, I think the project's good. I think my only concern is around, we see this a lot with tenders. We see a lot of amounts that are under, coming back here constantly asking for additional dollars, and it just makes it that much tougher for council this late in the year leading into the next budget. And I think we need to find a better way. This one just kind of glaring, not because of the dollar amount, it's the percentage that we're off. That's mind-boggling.
Mr. Chair, why couldn't we have the the standing committees, the departments, I should say, tender out the work before we start the budget. Then you would have a copy from the supplier saying, this is our estimate, our tender, our quote on this. And then we have at least a ballpark figure, then we have a little insight of what, it's like trying to figure out how much things were 20 years ago, and then we'll just assume that's still the price, inflation. Why do we do the paperwork first rather than doing the quoting after? I mean, I think that's what you would do in your household. If you're going to redo the kitchen, well, let's get a price for how much this kitchen is going to cost. If it's cost $84,000, you say, well, maybe we won't go to that extent, or pare back, or cancel, or postpone, whatever, rather than do it the other way.
The other thing too, Councillor Duffy, let's assume it's your snowplow, personal snowplow for your driveway. And last year you paid $500 and you heard costs might be going up. Before I got any kind of tender, I'd probably make a phone call back to the person who's providing the service just to say, hey, listen, we're looking at getting the service done. Do you envision big price increase before I land with a $1,500 invoice? No different from this. I mean, before putting in the budget, it'd be sure nice to know. I mean, a simple phone call 6 months ago, I probably would have maybe said the same thing. And maybe just a phone call back to say, what's the price of lanterns, and they've gone crazy, and that way we can adjust our budget accordingly, and we can meet council's requests.
Mr. Chair, can I just address what Councillor Duffy said about the old-fashioned lights, the historic lights? I think it blends into Fanning Bank, the Lieutenant Governor's residence. Also, it blends into there's a potential, Councillor Duffy, down the road to extend those lights from Terry Fox Run east on Brighton Road, or west on Brighton Road, to connect where they're already double-sided by, I think, Century Terrace. So that's why I think it's important to keep with the harmonious purchase of these historic lights. But if I can say one thing, project that's dear to the heart of Councillor Rivard is the replacement of that box culvert out on Beach Grove Road. We budgeted 1.7 million, and when I asked at the last meeting, you were at the last meeting, does that include the box culvert, which was, I think was 258,000? They didn't know. I'm sure it does include that, but the final price, our tender price, was $3.4 million. We said no to that because that's where you're talking about huge amounts or huge sums of money. I'm just saying that it's a good project. It's been talked about for the last couple of years. I'd like to advance it.
But I'm glad you made that point because again, we're creating false expectations. It was like the Rankin West royalty. It came in over budget by 100,000, okay? And we parked the project to come next year. Box culvert, people were told that the box culvert's gonna be fixed. The fence will be fixed because the box culvert's gonna be fixed. The landing gear is gonna be fixed when the box culvert's fixed. Now, nothing gets fixed because something happened where we were over 50% off on the estimate. So we create expectations to the public. And then we don't come through. So somewhere there's a gap, and we need to do a better job on filling that gap. And I don't know what it is, but again, we can't keep going out and telling the public we're going to do all these things. That's two big projects in my area. I know part of it involves you, Councillor Cody, and it's disappointing, that's all.
Councillor Cody also, and I'll finish with this, is I understand what your worship, what you're saying, but it just didn't suddenly get dark down there. It's been dark all along, and there's nobody arguing with that, and it's a health and safety issue. But, as far as the ambience is concerned, or harmony with the other lights, is that worth $75,000? That's what you were asking to transfer in to cover this. Like, I understand. I was just talking about putting temporary lighting in to address the health and safety of the residents down there. Everybody's going to say it looks ugly, but for $75,000, I can let them call me ugly. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? What's the need down there? Is it harmony with old-fashioned lighting, or is it with health and safety? I say it's health and safety first, and hopefully, and there'll come a day when the wood prices are falling, and I assume these will, or at least we'll know when at budget time what the price is. Yes, I have all the world for the residents.
Yeah, Councillor Duffy, it's my sister-in-law lived at the end of Fitzroy Street. She's moved from that street to Hillsborough Street, and That's 5, 6 years ago. It's been an issue, and now it's finally being addressed. I know that there are a number of areas, like Raiders Road, we're not doing these projects. Like, are we gonna say no to another project because we're gonna wait for next year, hopefully praying that prices will go down? I don't foresee them going down. I'm supporting that we.
No, but a new budget, your worship, you would have them in the new budget. You may have to cut other places in our budget in order to accommodate that, but now we're doing it, we're spending $75,000
Right.
to match what's already there.
Right.
Instead of waiting for a new budget and include the new budget honestly
Right.
in the new budget, what you want done, but then.
Not me, the residents.
No, what the residents want done. But trim the other parts of the budget accordingly to accommodate it.
But that's what we're doing, we're trimming we're trimming those budgets because we can't expand them. Like the 590,000 for the AT trail,
No.
from the bridge to Joe
I
Gibbs
should
Road,
have
that's
said when they
not.
come within a reasonable range.
So I'll put a motion forward to approve.
Second.
And just, the reason I'm saying to approve is not the money, just that needs to be fixed. But most downtown cores, especially with historic value, there's an importance to that. And I'd rather see these lights versus the regular lights, just because of the significance, historic significance.
Of the area.
But again, I still think we need to look further into fixing the discrepancies between the estimates and then what we get back, as much as we can. So I'll put a motion forward to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Under the discussion, I'd just like to say, Councilor Ramsey said, I always quote the fact we address unmet needs, and there is an unmet need here. The unmet need is lack of lighting for our residents in the area, but the remainder of that is with the most appropriate response. And I say the most appropriate response today would be to put some temporary lighting in, to provide, to treat the need or address the need with a solid intention of matching it up with the others, and we could probably save a fair chunk of cash. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, it's been seconded, so we'll say all in favor of the old-fashioned lights. Okay,
I'm in favor because, like, it isn't new money.
okay,
It's being transferred from one part to the other. So, it's,
okay.
I think it's a good project, but, I mean, I'm the counselor there, you guys start looking at things very close.
And we said that at the Public Works Committee meeting too.
We did too.
More estimates.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, no, great, good points.
Especially the contractors.
Move on to the second one, tooling and specialized equipment for the full-size transit buses.
So, this is just as the chair said, it is special equipment for the transit buses. It should be noted that a lot of the expenses are for this, I'll give you the amounts in a minute, are covered as part of the city's ICIP funding for the purchase and the outfitting of the buses. And it is within the budget that has been allocated for the project. So for the municipal contribution for this project is 26.7%. I'm sure you're aware that this is shared by the 3 municipalities. So it's 75% Charlottetown, 10% Cornwall, and 15% Stratford. So the total cost of this portion of the project is $61,000. However, the city of Charlottetown will be responsible for only $13,000. So because we get reimbursed from Cornwall and from Stratford. So the PO, and I guess the resolution is attached to the PO price. So what will happen is we will do a PO for $61,000. We will pay the bill to New Flyer Industries for $61,000, and then we will be reimbursed an appropriate portion from Cornwall and Stratford.
So our total cost is 13. At the end of the day, it's 13.
That's right.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
they're saying a tooling and software, what's that here? All boxes or what? Or you just said New Flyer Industries? On what are you using the 63,000 for? Or 63,000, sorry.
So there is a breakdown Mr. Chair, on the next page, council for all people.
I'll move to accept.
Okay. Second. Move.
I'll
Second.
move
You're,
I'll agree.
you're okay? Okay.
2013,
All right. Okay, so committee's in agreement with that resolution. 5B, pending review, truck hire for snow removal.
Right, that just closed October 28th, so it's pending review with the department. We did have, I think, 49 responses from various trucking companies.
How many?
With 49, I believe,
49.
with different hourly rates. So I expect we'll see a resolution in our next meeting once these have been reviewed.
Is this for a whole company or one truck, or what do you got here? Is this truck hire for snow hauling? Is that,
There's 44 of them, I think.
So,
we need 44? Sorry.
Mr. Chair, we hire couple trucks, 20, 30, 40, whatever, and they're in the queue and they're drawn down as we require them. And they do put in the bid price, obviously we start with the low bid prices first, and then we go forward from there. But this is to have the stock at once when we, if we need. So if we put it up and down town and we blow the snow in the trucks are going to take it over to the snow.
You know, Mr. Chair, on a heavy day, you know, after a bad storm, they usually start at 4 in the morning, and they meet at 3:30 down at Tim Hortons by the bridge, and like they fill up the Wendy's parking lot and the Tim Hortons parking lot with trucks. You know, it's just a bed of trucks.
Yes.
So when they start up at 5 to 4, they go up to, they're given designated sections with blowers, you know, with blowers accompanying them, I should say.
We'll get it next
But
time.
when they start up at 10 to 4, the diesel machines, all 44 of them, your lungs don't want you to be around there. Like, I mean, it's pretty heavy duty stuff.
Okay, so we're okay with that? That's just,
Yeah.
That's just FYI.
exactly. So the next one, 5C, posted but not closed. There's 4 there, like I say,
They've all been
Yeah.
posted, but they're not.
yeah, they're not closed, so. But that's just saying what's out there.
Mr. Chair, can I just ask Nancy or Mr. Kelly, so engineering services, we do have a contract with the company in New Brunswick, Moncton. So is this an expansion of engineering services or is it new engineering services? It's not, I can't find it in my package.
We typically don't, on
Okay.
those that are posted,
Yeah.
it's more of an FYI. We get into more of the detail when it comes to a resolution, but if there's a specific question you have,
Well, engineering services, now we use the same outfit out of Moncton to do the design for the box culvert on Beach Grove Road
right?
and also Capitol Drive. I can't remember the name of the company.
So we don't
We-
know who this will be at, they're those two sender, and we'll get responses back for those interested in this particular thing.
Yeah, so can I get a copy of what it's looking at? Like,
So it's posted online?
It is online.
Online version, yes.
Yeah.
It's all there.
so is this is this to, maybe Connie knows, Connie, but is this,
It came down yesterday.
yeah,
It closed.
it did close. Yeah,
How many bids?
3.
So that would also be on the review until that's complete.
right. So Connie, who's the firm out of New Brunswick, Moncton?
Is that EXP?
EXP. So is this to replace what we're doing, what we did 2 years ago with EXP, or is this a new engineering services?
I think this is for the utility worship, so this will be.
Yes.
for
Yes.
the project. It says utilities, so I think it's for down at the plant, but again.
Oh, EXP is not doing our utility, they're just doing public works.
I don't know.
I think we're just doing public works.
Get the
Oh.
information, please.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know that.
Electric buses charging equipment. We said when the buses come in, we're gonna be setting up a station.
So right now, that whole issue is under review as well, and these are for the charging stations, whether they be at the main depot or whether they also be different locations along the state for charging.
And then number 4, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Supply and installation of Charlotte City Hall office furniture workstations. What's that consist of, Mr.
So
Chair?
this is downstairs on the first floor. It as a COVID funds that we are using from the province. And that is to
Spending the money,
redo or revamp the downstairs for
$100
staffing and to make it better utilized and also greater protection for the employees. And so it'll be the furniture systems that we have elsewhere in the city, and there'll be furniture and bays or pods that would be used for staffing.
Even with the restrictions being dropped yesterday and things along that line, we're still gonna go down that road?
Yes, these funds are to be.
Well, these are the funds from the province?
Yes, and to be long-term in case another event happens down there, we have to be more proactive and be able to address it.
Okay. So now I just want to bring all this sort of system. Good.
We're okay? Good. Okay. 6A, budget transfer for public works for 22,000 on our last page here.
It's fine.
Moved by Councillor Rivera, second by Councillor Ramsey. We're okay with that transfer?
Green light?
Okay. So, we,
Do we have quotes?
If you want an update on the EDP or the land holdings that we had discussed, you did go into close to give an update, and that can wait until next meeting as well.
what does the committee want to do? Do you want
We're
to?
here now, you know,
Yeah.
it's 12:30.
Yeah.
What? Which property?
The ADL.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I would do it now, wouldn't you?
Okay.
That's
Should
fine.
take us like long.
You got the exit.
It should take as long as
Just go to the-
would it?
It's just a budget, it's just an update.
What's that?
Okay. Okay, so I just need a motion to move into closed session as per section 119 subsection E. Perfect. Moved and second, that's great, thanks. Okay.